This meeting is co-organized by the European Commission, the World Bank, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the Energy Community Secretariat, Poland's National Fund for Environmental Protection and Water Management, the College Europe, Inatolin, and European Investment Bank. My name is Elodie Salle. I coordinate the Secretariat of the initiative, and I'm delighted to chair this event. Before we start, I would like to remind you of some housekeeping rules for the meeting. So participants' microphones and cameras are turned off by default. You can submit your questions in the chat function and select everyone. The event is recorded, and if you have any technical issues, you can email us at the email address which is on the slide here. We also provide interpretation in 10 languages during this event: in Albanian, Bosnian, Croatian, English, Macedonian, Montenegrin, Polish, Russian, Serbian, and Ukrainian. So you can download the app to follow the whole event, and you can do it through the App Store or Google Play. You enter WBUA, you choose the day of the event, and then you select the language and press connect. Before we start, I would like to propose 2 questions to get to know a bit each other and to warm up. So you have a QR code here that you can use your phone to connect with, or you can go on slido.com and enter WBUA. Then there's a question for you. So where are you based? It's an all virtual event today, but we are very curious to know where you are based now. So let's wait a couple of seconds that you have the time to connect, and we'll see where you're based. So already Germany, Bulgaria, Bucharest in the US, interesting, good morning. Ukraine, Istanbul, Poland. So just for you to know, we received almost 400 registrations, so we are very excited to welcome you all in this event today. I see some people in Brussels, Bucharest as well, Ukraine, Amsterdam, Netherlands, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Hello. That's great. Okay, we have 28 people, 29 now, from Albania also, Macedonia. We are 132 participants. Okay, Serbia, Macedonia. That's great to see. Welcome you all. Okay, let's perhaps move to the second question, just to know a bit each other as well. So what type of stakeholders do you represent today? Are you coming from a public authority, a municipality perhaps? Are you, I don't know, from an NGO, from a trade union, from a university perhaps, you're a researcher? NGO, I see, okay, ministry, World Bank, academic, great think tank. Very diverse crowd, I see. That's very good. International CSO, investor, private sector also, energy advisor, European Commission, international organization. Let's wait a couple of seconds. I see, yeah, many people from NGO and from private sector. That's very good. All right, I think that's, thank you very much for participating to this poll questions. Now I think it's time to have a look at the agenda. We have a very nice agenda, I hope, for you and for today and for tomorrow as well. So we'll have first keynote speakers from the European Commission and the World Bank. Then we'll dive into the core of our meeting with 3 panel discussions. where we really want to hear from the voices from the region, from local stakeholders. So we have 3 panel discussions. The first one will be focusing on socio-economic challenges. We'll then have a short break, and we'll go into the second panel discussion, focusing on environmental repurposing challenges. And then the third panel discussion will be more focusing on clean energy transition. And then we'll end the meeting for today, but don't forget we have a second day also tomorrow at the same time. So we look also forward to see you tomorrow. All right, without any further ado, I would like to also welcome now the keynote speakers who have kindly accepted to speak at this first annual meeting. So I would like to first welcome Mrs. Paula Pinho, who is Director for Just Transition, Consumers, Energy Efficiency, Innovation, and the Directorate General for Energy at the European Commission. Hello, good afternoon, Mrs. Pinho.
Good afternoon, Elodie. Good afternoon, everyone.
Please, the floor is yours now.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction and welcome to this virtual event. I wish we would be meeting somewhere and have the possibility to see each other, to greet each other, to exchange views. Well, we will be doing it virtually anyway, and really on behalf of the European Commission and the Director General for Energy, and together with my dear colleague Katarina Mathernova, Deputy Director General from the Director General for Neighbourhood and Enlargement, I would like to give you a warm welcome to this very first annual meeting of the Initiative for Coal Regions in Transition in the Western Balkans and in Ukraine. It's really great to have the possibility to have representatives from central, local governments, from NGOs, from international organizations, academia, trade unions, and many more to discuss such an important subject. With this initiative, our goal is to create a space, to create a forum for all stakeholders to meet and to engage in very concrete discussions on how to ensure a just transition towards a climate-friendly energy system without leaving any region, any sector, and any individual behind. And as you know, the European Union is very strongly committed to working together with Ukraine, with the Western Balkans, to move forward on the path towards decarbonizing the European energy sector, and indeed the whole European continent. And because climate change has really no borders, Europe must play as a team in the fight against global warming. And we can only achieve our goals by cooperating, by ensuring we as Europeans work hand in hand across borders towards this common objective. The EU is doing its part. With the EU Green Deal, we are committed to cutting our greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030 and to reaching climate neutrality by 2050. And this European Green Deal is more than a climate and an energy and environmental agenda. It is really an opportunity, a strategy for growth and for job creation, and a unique opportunity to build a fair and prosperous society where we leave no one behind, where everybody is part of it. Now, we do know that the clean energy transition is key to provide a healthy lifestyle to our citizens, a cleaner environment for current and future generations, and for sustainable and good jobs. By deploying renewable energy and clean technologies, by integrating our energy systems, by renovating our homes and improving our industrial processes to save energy, we are not only cutting emissions, but we are also creating wealth and we are creating jobs. And really creating more than any of the jobs that will be affected by such a transition. And it is not simple. And we know very well that efforts will be needed. And we know that some people, that some regions will see their livelihoods transform radically. So we must prepare and intervene before these changes happen. And we must prepare the ground for the transition, addressing distributional effects and ensuring that this transition remains fair, that it remains inclusive. And this is why the just transition is put at the very heart of our Green Deal policies. And more specifically, this is why we are paying special attention to coal regions, not just in the EU, but also in the Western Balkans and Ukraine, as this event also shows today. Now, today, we will not be elaborating on what we've been doing in terms of the coal regions in transition, and which really has served in the EU, which really was a basis and a model to develop what we are now doing with you in the Western Balkans and Ukraine. With this initiative of the coal regions in transition, which started already in 2017, we have realized and confirmed the importance of engaging all local actors and of discussing openly, of sharing fears, sharing hopes, as well as of identifying concrete solutions to the problems that we identify. Now, with this initiative, specifically for Western Balkans and Ukraine, we are starting a journey, and a very promising journey with the World Bank, the Energy Community Secretariat, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the European Investment Bank, and the College of Europe to really assist Ukraine and the Western Balkans to benefit from our respective experiences in the field of implementing a just green energy transition. And we do not have all the answers. We are still learning as we contribute to implementing the transition in the EU and in the rest of the world. Myself, when I was preparing for assuming this current responsibilities, I knew this is one of the challenges to tackle, but I also knew it is a challenge that can be surmounted and that can indeed, that we can indeed together find ways to decarbonize without leaving anybody behind, also those who have been employed, for instance, in coal mining activities. We need to embrace all these communities. And the first evidence is emerging that it is indeed possible to transition away from coal and in an economic and in a job-friendly manner. And let me give you examples, because these examples say more than 1,000 words that I may be pronouncing here today. Take Romania, for instance, which has already started retraining coal miners to work in the wind energy industry and really ensuring that these workers of the coal industry can find a job once coal mining ceases in the country. Take Greece. Greece is planning massive investments in renewable energy, developing solar and wind farms on former mining sites and bringing activity and jobs to areas where they are most needed. Another example is in Slovakia, where the choice has been made to retrain workers outside of the energy sector, parallel to an investment in the manufacturing of railway equipment on former coal installations. Another example is the way in which some Polish regions, such as Wielkopolska, which is deeply dependent on coal, is deciding to go ahead to aim for climate neutrality and green technologies. All these examples show the way for many more regions to follow in Europe, in and beyond the EU. And I see with great pleasure that we even have friends from the US, from Maryland and Washington, who have joined us, as we could just see in the initial poll. All these examples show that there are clean and better alternatives to coal, which can provide new opportunities for coal regions and communities, as long as an adequate planning is carried out and corresponding resources are mobilized. And these examples show that coal miners have the skills which can prove extremely useful also when used, when deployed in clean energy technologies. It is clear that when we implement a green transition, we are all facing these complex issues, which relate to security of supply, to the integration of renewables in the grid, to the employment of former coal miners and employees of coal-fired power plants, to the conversion of coal-fired district heating systems to clean energy, or the rehabilitation of former coal mining land. These are questions that we are facing also in the EU. These are questions that all of the world's coal regions are facing when implementing the transition. And this is why we believe that this initiative can really be of help. It is only last December that we officially kicked off this new initiative. And now we are starting implementing its activities very, very concretely. Today and tomorrow will be an occasion to discuss common issues, possible solutions, focusing on the main subjects that we've identified through our work across many regions of the world. I am sure we will learn a lot, and we will come back and you will go back to your respective jobs with an inspiration to do more and to do maybe also things differently. We will launch our exchange program, which is about providing a way for coal regions in the Western Balkans and Ukraine to collaborate directly with counterparts in the EU on concrete issues. And this is really only a beginning. We will soon start implementing activities at local level, meeting with stakeholders from the various areas where coal is mined today in the Western Balkans and Ukraine, to further exchange on the specific issues and really seeing what is the help that we can bring. For all of this, we are very pleased to count on a series of extremely competent and capable partners. I already mentioned we are very pleased to be counting on the support of the World Bank, for instance, with whom we cooperate closely on a number of similar programs. And why do I now mention the World Bank specifically? Because we have Samir Shukla from the World Bank, who is also giving his remarks in a few minutes. This initiative also benefits from broad internal support from within the European Commission. And it's not just DG Energy, it's really a support across all relevant services. And that's why I'm very pleased to pass the floor to my colleague Katarina Mathernova, Deputy Director General of DG ENER and Acting Director of the Support Group for Ukraine. I wish you a very fruitful, inspiring 2 days of discussions, and may this event be the first of many to come. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a very successful event.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Pinho, and thank you very much for your encouraging words and bringing also some concrete examples which will hopefully inspire coal regions in the Western Balkans and Ukraine. So speaking of regions in the Western Balkans and Ukraine, I would like now to welcome Mrs. Katarina Mathernova, who is Deputy Director General in charge of Eastern Neighbourhoods, Economic Transformation and Relations with IFIs, Acting Director for Support Group for Ukraine at the Directorate General for European Neighbourhoods and Enlargement Negotiations at the European Commission. Please, Ms. Mathernova, the floor is yours.
That is a mouthful, Elodie. Thank you very much, and Paula, thank you very much for passing the floor. In fact, today the whole buzz in the European Commission is about the Green Deal. We are just discussing the carbon border adjustment tax and other initiatives that is going to actually create quite some interest as well as anxiety around the world, what's going to come out of that. But these are just elements of really a much broader transition we are talking about here, the green a transition that, as Paula mentioned, we need to all undergo, and on the European continent very much together, because climate is something that indeed does not know borders, much like many other phenomena, but in this area is particularly the case. So I'm very delighted. I'm very glad to be at this inaugural meeting of this initiative, and I think that in general, having peer-to-peer learning platforms is very useful, because as Paula was mentioning, there is a lot of examples from the European Union, from some of the member states that more recently joined the EU and have had very substantive coal regions, economies dependent on coal production and mining, and the transition has started, but it's still something that's ongoing. And this is where I want to say that we will all agree that it's great to have decarbonization goals. It's great, everybody can come together around the idea that we all want clean and sustainable and affordable energy. The question is how to get there. And I think that we do need to recognize and admit, and I think Paula mentioned it herself, that different parts of the world and different parts of Europe will be affected differently. You know, we can have good examples, whether from Eastern Poland, we can have a good example from recent Serbian decision announcing to suspend activities on building the thermal power plant in Kolubara. We have great initiative in Ukraine on energy efficiency in housing that is now very much taking over. But we also have a situation like Kosovo, where 99% of energy is coal-based. And in Serbia, it's less, but still a huge percentage, I believe, over 70 or 80%. So we have really a variety of situation, a variety of models, economic structures of the regions, and I think it's really important to be open about the fact that yes, there is going to be dislocation. It is called coal region transition for a reason. Transition is always a difficult process of any kind. I come from also a post-communist country that was undergoing not an easy, very painful transition, and in many respects still has to go through many aspects of it. And but the message that I want to pass here is that we are with you, and both the Commission and together with its IFI partners through this platform, but also other initiatives, will really be very interested in offering a helping hand. We have adopted last October an economic and investment plan for the Western Balkans, which sets out a plan to use 9 billion of grant funding and an additional 20 billion leveraged through guarantees from our IFI partners to invest in connectivity, but sustainable connectivity, in energy, sustainable and affordable energy, digital transformation. And in this respects, I very much call on our friends and partners in the IFIs to also work with us together towards these goals. In Ukraine, as part of the Eastern Partnership, we are preparing a similar economic investment plan that will be unveiled in the next few weeks, very much with the same idea of supporting our partner countries in this important transition. So I'm sure you're all keen to get into your substantive discussion, so I'll stop here. Just want to say, important transition. It's not going to be easy. There is going to be important social impact, and the third message is we are with you and look forward to working with you in the coming month and years.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mathernova, for your kind words and also encouraging words. Now I would like to welcome our third and last keynote speaker, Mr. Samir Shukla, Acting Infrastructure Director for Europe and Central Asia from the World Bank. Indeed, as Mrs. Pinho was highlighting before, the World Bank has been playing a key role in this initiative. So, Mr. Shukla, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Elodie, and it's a real honor and a pleasure to be here. This is a defining, let us say, issue of our times, as Paula and Katarina have already mentioned, and as you all already know. And it gives me great pleasure to recognize that we are partners with the European Commission. I'm grateful to the Commission for all the work that they're doing. And Katarina, it's very nice to see you, and I hope you're keeping well in these very difficult times. Indeed, Paula, I wish we could have done this event together. It would have been a good way to get to see each other and meet each other, but inshallah, very soon we shall do so. I was quite happy to see the wide participation from all our partner countries, and also to see that ENFOSH from Poland, EBRD, EIB are all partnering together. Without support from everyone, I doubt that this will be doable. So, as Katarina mentioned, we really have to work together on this. One thing that we all realize is that the transition is already happening. You can see it in America, you can see it in parts of Europe, and certainly from where I come, the coal belt of India. In the past 30 years, all through the time that I grew up, you could see the transition. Coal is declining in its utilization, although in ENER, as Katarina and Paula also mentioned, there is still a very large heating demand for which coal and natural gas will continue to play a role for some more time. But it is quite clear that the transition is happening. And if it is not managed properly, actively, consciously, then it will be disruptive, and as it is, and it will be difficult to ensure that people and communities and these cities and towns benefit from the transition. So it is for that reason that we are here together in this initiative, and I'm really glad that the bank is a key partner for this. We have a lot of experience of supporting transition across the world, and of course in Europe as well, in Romania, Poland, Western Macedonia. We are currently working in Serbia as well as Bosnia and Herzegovina with the countries, and also in Ukraine. So there is a lot of experience. Paula mentioned a few examples that we can all learn from and bring together. And I think the main lesson that Paula and Katarina also mentioned is that we have to think of the people and the communities. They have to be in the center of this conversation. This is about coal, certainly. It's about a certain technology that is being overtaken by other technologies. But the transition really has to be keeping with the people in the center. That is why it has to be just, inclusive. And indeed, that's the approach that the World Bank is taking. As you know, we have this just transition for coal regions in transition. That program essentially is structured along these lines with the sort of advisory work initially, capacity building, planning, and then over time investments, education of staff, repurposing, retooling, and then eventually, replacement of these investments with other investments such as wind, for instance, as Paula mentioned. So. In this initiative, what we are trying to bring is, our sort of, let's say, global knowledge, our advisory support, the experiences that we've learned, and very much supporting the peer-to-peer learning that Katarina mentioned. I'm very happy to see that ENFOSH is in this partnership. They have a lot of experience in Poland, which they can bring. Not just on coal transition, but on other aspects, going further downstream to household heating, household energy efficiency, another subject that is quite close to our hearts. So it is to support this peer-to-peer learning, certainly to strengthen stakeholder consultations, engagement, and supporting national level planning, municipal, local level planning efforts to prepare the paths. And we know that it's a long-term approach. It won't happen in a year. It will take a lot of time and a lot of resources. So through these means, we will certainly try to support as needed. In closing, I'll just sort of recognize that this is a really rich agenda in these 2 days, and I'm very happy that we have such illustrious speakers coming together from all parts of the economy. And I wish you all the very best. I hope that we can at some point meet together. And in closing, I also want to convey the best wishes of Linda, who would have been here but was taken away by another urgent requirement. Just the last word that I'd like to mention is that the World Bank has yesterday announced its climate change action plan, and it's a very far-reaching commitment to support the transition to clean energy. And in that plan as well, just transition of coal is front and center. So it is one of the main pillars of the climate change action plan of the World Bank. And so you can certainly rely on the World Bank as a partner for the long run on this important agenda. So thank you very much, Elodie. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shukla. Thank you very much.